Have you ever wondered why some men seem to command respect effortlessly, while others constantly struggle to be taken seriously? Why do certain men, without raising their voices, without begging for attention, naturally draw people toward them, while others are ignored, undervalued, and left questioning their worth? The answer lies in something most men overlook: the power of silence and emotional detachment. In a world where everyone is constantly reacting, explaining, proving, and chasing, the man who masters the art of stepping back without a word wields the ultimate advantage. When a woman disrespects a man, the average guy either argues, pleads, or desperately tries to fix things. But the high-value man, he understands a deeper truth: absence is far louder than words. And here's what most men don't realize: the moment you stop responding emotionally, the moment you stop chasing validation, the moment you stop rewarding bad behavior, the power dynamic shifts. You become the man who is remembered, the man who cannot be ignored. This is where many fail. They believe that winning a woman's heart, or anyone's respect, requires constant effort, constant giving, and constant presence. But the truth: the more you chase, the less you are valued. By the end of this video, you'll understand. Heavy checkmark: why silence is the most powerful tool in any relationship. Heavy checkmark: how emotional detachment shifts power back in your favor. Heavy checkmark: the biggest mistake men make when women pull away. Heavy checkmark: why stepping back forces people to see your true value. Heavy checkmark: how to instantly increase your attractiveness and influence. This isn't about playing games. This is about understanding human nature and reclaiming your worth. If you've ever found yourself feeling unappreciated, undervalued, or taken for granted, this is the video you need to watch. Stay with me until the end, because once you grasp this mindset, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I encourage you to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on today's topic. If you enjoy the content, please comment 1 below. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave a 0. Your feedback is crucial as it helps me create better videos that align with your interests. Now, let's get started. 1. Silence and emotional detachment, the ultimate power move. In the realm of relationships, where emotions often run high and power dynamics shift like the tide, a man's ability to master silence and emotional detachment is his greatest weapon. When a woman disrespects a man, the average guy reacts predictably, either exploding in anger, demanding explanations, or worse, reducing himself to begging for attention, pleading for validation, trying to fix a situation that should never have been his to fix. But a high-value man, he understands something crucial. Words are cheap, but absence is priceless. He does not waste his energy explaining his worth to someone who refuses to see it. Instead, he simply steps away, removing his presence like a king retreating to his castle, leaving behind an undeniable void. And in that silence, something powerful happens. She feels the weight of his absence far more than she ever would from 1,000 emotional pleas. This is where many men fail. They believe that in order to win a woman's favor, they must prove their worth by constantly giving, constantly showing, constantly being present. But the truth is, nothing makes a woman reflect on a man's value more than the sudden realization that he is no longer there. A man who knows his worth does not fight for space in someone's life. He allows them to decide if they want to keep him in it. If they choose to devalue him, he simply vanishes, taking with him all the warmth, attention, and security he once provided. Mastering the art of strategic indifference. Women, whether consciously or subconsciously, will test a man's emotional resilience. She may act indifferent, delay responses, or play games designed to provoke jealousy, all as a way to gauge his emotional control. The weak man, the insecure man, falls into the trap every time. He chases, he questions, he argues, he over-explains. He does everything except what he should do: step back and observe. A high-value man, on the other hand, does not react to emotional games. He recognizes that the real punishment is not confrontation, but complete disengagement. He is not here to compete for attention, to prove his worth, or to beg for respect. If a woman fails to see his value, he lets her experience life without it. If she takes his presence for granted, he gives her the gift of his absence. Nothing disturbs a woman more than realizing that a man she once controlled emotionally is no longer affected by her actions. The moment she senses that he has become unbothered, that he no longer seeks her validation, is the moment she begins to reevaluate everything. Why isn't he reacting? Why isn't he trying to fix things? Why does he seem so unaffected? Suddenly, the power shifts. And that, right there, is where a high-value man separates himself from the rest. He is not desperate for attention, nor is he emotionally dependent on anyone. He chooses who he gives his energy to, and when he sees his effort is not reciprocated, he simply redirects that energy elsewhere. Real-life example, the power of absence. Imagine this, you are dating a woman, and for weeks, things seem to be going well. The connection feels strong, the conversations flow effortlessly, and you assume everything is moving in the right direction. Then, without warning, she starts pulling away. Her messages become colder. The enthusiasm in her voice fades. The warmth she once showed turns into lukewarm politeness, and soon, even that starts to disappear. The average man, gripped by insecurity and panic, reacts emotionally. He sends more messages, asks why she's being distant, tries to fix things by showering her with even more attention. He writes long paragraphs expressing his feelings, hoping that if he just explains himself, if he just says the right thing, she will return to how she was before. But instead, she pulls back even more. Why? Because desperation is never attractive. The more he seeks her validation, the less she values it. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Now, contrast this with a high-value man. The moment he senses her energy shift, he does not fight for her attention. He mirrors her distance. If she takes longer to respond, so does he. If she stops initiating conversations, so does he. And if she continues to withdraw, he disappears entirely. And something interesting happens. The moment she realizes that he is no longer chasing, no longer reacting, no longer seeking her out, she starts to feel his absence. At first, it is just a passing thought. Then, as time goes on, it turns into curiosity. Why hasn't he reached out? Then, curiosity turns into doubt. Did I misjudge him? Then, doubt turns into regret. Did I just lose a man who actually valued himself? Suddenly, she is the one reaching out, the one looking for an excuse to reconnect, the one trying to restore the dynamic that she foolishly disrupted. And if she doesn't, then the high-value man has just saved himself from wasting time on someone who was never truly interested in him to begin with. Either way, he wins. The golden rule: never chase what is not yours. If a woman does not make you a priority, do not make her one. If she does not value your presence, show her what it feels like to live without it. Too many men waste their energy trying to hold on to someone who is already slipping away, when the truth is, letting go is often the most powerful thing they can do. Silence is not weakness. Absence is not surrender. These are the tools of men who understand their worth. Because the reality is this: people only truly appreciate what they fear losing. If she cares, she will notice the void you leave behind, and she will make an effort to bring you back into her life. If she doesn't, then you have just received the most valuable lesson of all. She was never meant to stay. A high-value man does not argue. He does not beg. He does not seek approval. He simply walks away. And in that quiet, in that space where words no longer exist, he becomes unforgettable. 2. Never reward bad behavior. Hold your ground with confidence and strength. Women test men. It's a fundamental, almost instinctive part of human nature. These tests are not necessarily malicious. Rather, They serve as a subconscious way for women to gauge a man's strength, emotional stability, and leadership. A woman may not even realize she's doing it, but deep down, she is searching for a sense of security. She wants to know, can this man handle pressure? Will he crumble if faced with adversity? Is he emotionally stable enough to be a leader in a relationship? If a man repeatedly fails these tests, if he reacts with insecurity, panic, or the need for constant reassurance, he loses something vital in her eyes: attractiveness. What most men fail to understand is that women are not necessarily looking for perfection. They are looking for emotional resilience. The ability to remain unshaken in the face of a challenge is what makes a man desirable. A woman wants to be with someone she can trust to be steady when the waters get rough, someone who can hold his ground without becoming defensive or desperate. And that is why the worst thing you can do in these situations is reward bad behavior, whether it's emotional games, passive-aggressive comments, guilt-tripping, or subtle provocations meant to test your reaction. The moment you start justifying yourself, over-explaining, or seeking validation, you've already lost ground. How do women test men? These tests can show up in various ways, often disguised as innocent remarks, subtle shifts in behavior, or even outright provocations. If you're not aware, you'll fall into the trap of reacting instead of standing firm. Here are some common ways women test men. Sudden emotional withdrawal. She acts cold or distant out of nowhere, leaving you confused and wondering what you did wrong. Passive-aggressive comments. She might say something that subtly challenges your confidence, your career, or your decisions, just to see if you'll become defensive. Blame games and guilt-tripping. She might make you feel guilty for something small, just to see if you'll scramble to fix things. Unreasonable demands. She might test if you're willing to give up something important to you just to please her. Flirting with other men in front of you. She might do this to gauge your reaction. Will you become jealous and insecure, or will you remain unbothered? The mistake most men make: falling into the trap. When faced with one of these tests, most men make the critical mistake of reacting emotionally. They feel the need to explain themselves, apologize for things they shouldn't, or overcompensate to prove their worth. Imagine this scenario. A man is dating a woman, and one evening, she suddenly says in a disappointed tone, "I don't know. I just feel like things aren't the same between us anymore." This is a test. A weak or insecure man will immediately panic. What do you mean? Did I do something wrong? Are you unhappy? Please tell me how I can fix it. In that moment, he loses all power. His words scream desperation. He is now playing on her terms, chasing her validation, trying to earn back something he never actually lost. And the result? She loses respect for him. Not because he did something terrible, but because he showed weakness. He reacted out of fear instead of confidence. The high-value response: strength and composure. A high-value man responds differently. He remains calm, unbothered, and completely in control of his emotions. Instead of pleading or justifying himself, he simply says, "If that's how you feel, I understand. I won't force anything. No pleading. No desperation. No over-explaining." This response does three powerful things. It shows unshakable confidence. He is not afraid of losing her. He knows his worth and doesn't feel the need to beg for validation. It reverses the power dynamic. Instead of scrambling to fix something, he puts the responsibility back on her. She must now decide whether she values him enough to stay. It instantly increases his attractiveness. A woman cannot help but be drawn to a man who is secure in himself, who doesn't waver in the face of emotional pressure. And paradoxically, this kind of response often makes her come back even stronger. Why? Because she now sees that he is not easily shaken, and that is incredibly attractive. The golden rule: stop seeking validation, reclaim your power. The moment you stop needing a woman's approval, you regain control of yourself. When you refuse to engage in emotional games, you send a powerful message. I know my worth. I don't need to beg for anyone's love or validation. Either you respect me, or you can leave. Women respect men who stand firm. They are drawn to men who have boundaries and self-respect. They admire men who do not crumble at the first sign of difficulty. When you adopt this mindset, everything changes. Women stop testing you as often because they recognize that you are not easily manipulated. They begin to see you as a man of strength, someone they can truly admire and rely on. Final thoughts. How to maintain this energy in your life. Always remain emotionally composed. Never let a woman see that she can shake your confidence. Never reward emotional manipulation. If a woman tries to guilt trip you, remain firm in your stance. Know your worth. The more you believe in your value, the less you will tolerate bad behavior. Be willing to walk away. The ultimate sign of strength is knowing you can leave if you are not being respected. When you master this mindset, you naturally command respect. You don't have to chase, you don't have to explain yourself endlessly, and you don't have to fix things that aren't broken. You simply stand tall, exude confidence, and let women come to you. Because at the end of the day, a man who values himself will always be valued by others. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. 3. Redirect your energy. Become the best version of yourself. When faced with negativity, rejection, or disappointment in a relationship, the most powerful move you can make is to reclaim your energy and reinvest it into yourself. Too often, people waste their precious time dwelling on the actions of someone who does not reciprocate their effort or value their presence. A high-value man does not beg for attention, nor does he degrade himself by pleading for validation. Instead, he transmutes pain into power, channeling his focus into personal growth, self-improvement, and unwavering self-respect. The reality is, in any situation where you feel undervalued or unappreciated, your reaction determines your power. Do you become emotionally reactive, begging, explaining, and pleading for someone to treat you better? Or do you take a deep breath, recognize your own worth, and shift your attention towards something that will make you stronger, more confident, and more successful? The most underrated yet effective response to emotional turbulence in any relationship is not to react with desperation, complaints, or attempts to change someone's mind. Instead, it is to silently level up. It is to walk away with grace, not because you are afraid of confrontation, but because you understand that your value does not need to be proven, it only needs to be recognized. Every ounce of effort you pour into someone who does not see your worth is a missed opportunity to sharpen your mind, elevate your physical fitness, refine your skills, and build a life that makes you undeniably magnetic. Growth is the ultimate revenge. Transformation is the best comeback. When you shift your focus from seeking validation to self-expansion, you will quickly realize that the people who once doubted you will either admire your strength or regret taking you for granted. A real-world example: how power shifts when you focus on yourself. Imagine this scenario. You're dating a woman who, in the beginning, seemed fully invested in you. She responded enthusiastically to your messages, wanted to spend time with you, and made you feel like a priority. But over time, her behavior changes. She becomes distant, inconsistent, and nonchalant. She no longer texts back as quickly. Her excuses for being unavailable increase. Maybe she even starts playing mind games, acting hot and cold, subtly testing your patience and trying to see how much you will tolerate. A man who lacks self-respect and emotional discipline might fall into the trap of chasing after her. He might start overanalyzing her behavior, sending long texts asking what's wrong, demanding answers, or trying to convince her that he is worth her time. But this response only reinforces one painful truth: he is giving her power. He is showing her that his emotions, his happiness, and his sense of self-worth depend on her validation. But a man of true confidence, self-worth, and quiet strength operates differently. He does not get angry. He does not chase. He does not demand explanations. Instead, he redirects his energy into himself. Instead of obsessing over why she is acting distant, he hits the gym, transforming his physique into its peak form. Instead of constantly checking his phone, waiting for her text, he enrolls in a course that strengthens his expertise and expands his financial opportunities. Instead of wasting hours ruminating on what went wrong, he focuses on his career, stacking his wealth and building a lifestyle that makes him unstoppable. Instead of seeking comfort in her inconsistent attention, he deepens his friendships, expands his network, and surrounds himself with people who genuinely appreciate him. And what happens next? The woman who once took him for granted suddenly feels his absence like a void. She realizes that her games, her distance, and her inconsistency did not shake him. She did not break him. He did not beg, plead, or crumble under the weight of her indifference. Instead, he became better, stronger, and more magnetic than ever before. And this is when the power shifts. The same woman who once tested his patience now finds herself wondering, why isn't he chasing me? Why doesn't he seem affected by my distance? What has changed? The answer is simple. He stopped making her the center of his universe and became the center of his own. The ultimate mindset shift. You are the prize. When you stop seeking validation and start building yourself into someone who cannot be ignored, everything in your life will change. People will notice the shift in your energy. Those who once saw you as an option will now see you as a man of focus, purpose, and undeniable presence. And if they don't, it won't matter, because your happiness, your success, and your inner peace were never dependent on their approval in the first place. So the next time someone takes you for granted, whether in a relationship, a friendship, or any aspect of life, do not waste your energy trying to make them see your worth. Redirect that energy into becoming the strongest, smartest, most confident version of yourself. When you do this, you will never have to chase again, because you will be the one who is pursued. So, what have you learned today? How will mastering silence and emotional detachment change the way you approach relationships? Have you realized that stepping back, rather than chasing validation, is the ultimate power move? I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know one thing you've learned from this video that you plan to put into practice in your life. Whether it's mastering emotional detachment or redirecting your energy towards personal growth, I want to know how you're going to apply this new mindset. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more valuable content like this. Your support helps us create more videos that empower you to live your best life. Thanks for watching, and remember, the best version of yourself is just a step back away.